Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's Expert Tips. I'm Kate Anderson, and today I'm joined by Evan Gettinger of Gett Products. Evan is here to discuss supply chain disruption and how SMBs can meet the challenge that's been presented by COVID-19. So, Evan, why don't you start and tell our audience a bit about your business?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Kate, and everyone. I think this is a really important issue, something that we've struggled with and hopefully navigated well in the last month, and hopefully that helps some folks out. We manufacture professional cleaning products. They are performance products. They're meant for businesses, and we supply businesses around the US, Canada, Mexico, Germany soon, and in the rest of the world.
How has COVID-19 impacted your supply chain, and how have you handled those disruptions?
So pretty significantly in the last 2 months, we've had trouble in three ways, three really big hurdles that we've come up against. One is access to raw materials to manufacture the cleaning products and also to package the cleaning products. Two is price increases across the board. Our suppliers, their prices have been increased to them, so our prices have been increased to us. And then so our payment terms have completely changed with all of us. We've been with some of these suppliers for, some for 10 years, some for 20 years, and we've had to prepay for a lot of the materials that we've had to use recently. So those are three significant hurdles that we had to figure out how to overcome.
So have you had to make any adjustments to your product line to meet changes in demand? The market has obviously been very disruptive. Customers need new products, different products than you're typically used to providing. So how have you made those adjustments?
We have, and I credit the team with how amazing they've been in swiftly. We maybe manufacture right now a certain number of products. We've got formulas for a lot more, and very quickly the team put those formulas into place, and we did a few things. One is once guidance opened up from the FDA on hand sanitizer, we registered as an FDA facility, and we registered hand sanitizer products for manufacturing, and that was a big help to a lot of our customers who were having trouble getting access to a high enough alcohol content hand sanitizer at scale. The second was, you might not know this, and it might sound weird, but there are different hand soaps that different businesses require. And we manufacture a couple different hand soaps, and they're great. But some businesses require a degreasing hand soap. Some businesses require a hand soap that has, a pumice in it. Some require a more luxurious upscale hand soap for, say, office buildings. And every business across the board was having trouble getting access to whatever hand soap it was that they buy. And that's a huge issue. And so we quickly got those formulas into action. We are deploying those products imminently, and that means that every business will be able to have access to whatever type of hand soap that they need at scale. So we've done that. We make a fantastic EPA registered disinfectant that is registered for human coronavirus and is on the EPA's list for that's effective against SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19. But we needed access to another type of disinfectant, which is a ready-to-use version. So every disinfectant that you have has to be registered with the EPA, has to be then sub-registered with the states that you sell it in, if it's in the US. And we have access, and we manufacture this really concentrated one, because a lot of businesses, that's what works for them in the past, is a very concentrated formula. Now, a lot more businesses are using disinfectant than were previously. And not just businesses like commercial cleaning companies or meat packaging processing facilities that use a concentrated version. Now, every business is pretty much looking for a disinfectant. And so we are in the registration process for a ready-to-use version that anybody can buy and start using right out of the box. So we've made some of those modifications, with a lot more modifications to our portfolio currently in the pipeline. We've had to adapt fast. But we've also had to do things like get access to capital so that we can get through this very uncomfortable period, so that we have the staff to be able to produce these products for the businesses that so desperately need them. And so that we can prepay for some of these raw materials that we otherwise would not be able to get access to in order to produce some of these products for customers.
So what advice do you have for other SMBs struggling with supply chain issues? Specifically, I know you mentioned having a network of suppliers that you've worked with historically, and some SMBs may not have those relationships in place. So what advice would you have for folks struggling with that issue?
Honestly, it's difficult because a lot of businesses are facing really a hard time right now, and in different ways. And the advice that I would typically give someone, I don't know that I would be so receptive to it, but having come hopefully out a little bit on the other end of this, the advice would be leave no stone unturned, and just do not give up. It's very difficult advice to follow, but it did work to our benefit. We tried new things. We were quick on our feet. We got access to capital. We just didn't stop. So there are a few practical ways that I think hopefully some of what we did could help another business. One is build trust with if you do have suppliers that you work with currently, and you do have customers that you've worked with for a long time, have very open communication with them and build trust. We were very open with our customers that lead times were not going to be typical lead times, that pricing was not going to be typical pricing, and this is why we were very transparent about how our costs went up, and we would be basically just selling everything at a loss, which would mean we couldn't employ people. So we were very transparent about that. We were very transparent with our suppliers about what we could and could not do, and we met them halfway. They weren't increasing prices because they were trying to make money on this situation. They weren't asking for payment up front because they were trying to get something out of this. They were being asked to pay for things up front. Their prices were being increased. So we met them halfway. We had faith in them, and that faith was restored to us tenfold. When they got access to raw material, we were one of the first people that they called. I would also strongly recommend, try everything. We looked into every option. We spoke to our suppliers that we've been with for decades. We called new suppliers. We looked into importing certain things ourselves. We tried to avail ourselves of every option. And then once we felt like we had options and we had viable options, we were in a position to choose the best one, as opposed to feeling behind and being forced to choose a path because we didn't know what was available to us. The last thing I'll say is, it was very practical for us, was a lot of people use a CRM platform or a CRM tool as a means of sales to keep track of customers, customer lists, different distributor types, and being able to reach out to them on a frequent basis. We do the same thing, but we also have all of our suppliers, historical suppliers, new suppliers that reach out to us that maybe we never worked with, but we store them in our CRM. And it ended up being a very beneficial way for us to act quickly. When we weren't sure if we were going to have access to materials or who was going to have them and how quickly, we reached out to a vast network of suppliers that we've been building over years, even suppliers that we haven't worked with, in this Rolodex, in our CRM. And we were able to find their contact information quickly. We were able to get in touch with them fast, and they were able to get us answers quickly, even if the answer was no. At least we knew, that was no longer an option. So that was incredibly helpful. There are CRM tools that are free. There are CRM tools that are inexpensive. There are some that work better for different industries, but I would strongly recommend that people broaden the way that they approach their CRM and use it to sometimes even anticipate scenarios like this. Anyone you come in contact with as a business should probably just go into your CRM. You never know when you're ready to call them.
Great. That's wonderful advice for SMBs out there. I think one of the key messages is perseverance. So I think that's about it for today. So thank you, Evan. Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk again soon.
I hope so. Thank you for having me, and I hope that this advice is helpful for some of you out there. I know it's a very difficult time, and together we'll get through this.